12 years ago, voters opened the door to amalgamation. 8 years ago, we funded a deep dive into whether it made sense. That work is now finished, and it points clearly in one direction. Yes, to amalgamation. So why are we still waiting for a vote? Trevor Barry is the chair of the Capital Region Municipal Amalgamation Society, better known as Amalgamation, yes, and he joins us now. Trevor, thank you for your time, sir.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me.
So I'll just ask this bluntly off the top. What's the holdup?
Yeah, you and me both, Josh. The holdup for those listening who are trying to catch up a little bit here. There was amalgamation was a recommendation by the Citizens Assembly that ended just about a year ago, and it had to go to the two councils involved, Saanich and Victoria, both of whom had their debates, council debates, and they've moved it on to the province. And so now we're waiting for the province to let us know that we are for sure having a referendum this fall on this topic. And it's about time that we get some clarity on that.
So take us back to 2014, when I believe 8 of the 13 communities voted in favor of having some sort of conversation about municipal efficiencies and amalgamating or something of the nature. They all had kind of differently worded questions. But what problem were folks trying to solve then when this conversation really got started?
Yeah, so I'm brand new to amalgamation. Yes, I should put that out there because I've come to this far more recently than 2014, but I was around and I remember those chats in town about amalgamation back in 2014. But the organization that I'm now the chair of, Amalgamation Yes, has been at this for 3 decades, kind of begging the leaders of our communities to have a concerted effort for a conversation about, if not amalgamation, other types of service integration and municipal reform. And so, yeah, my understanding is like yours. There were 9 or 8 maybe municipalities in 2014 that asked some separate disjointed questions, most of which said, yeah, this sounds like a good idea. But then in 2018, only 2 of those councils moved forward to put a plebiscite out. And so that was Victoria and Saanich. And so everything that happens since 2018 has been basically boiled down to only that one opportunity, which is Saanich and Victoria, discussing or studying the opportunity to amalgamate or some other form of working together.
So the Citizens Assembly not only recommended, but they didn't just study it, rather. They recommended a union between Victoria and Saanich. What has to happen now in order to get a binding question on the ballot in 4 months?
Yeah, that's the question that we've been asking out loud this week. Like I said, I came at this more recently, and the reason that I got involved in amalgamation advocacy was because of the study that the Citizens Assembly put out last year, which they were not asked to recommend amalgamation or not. They were simply asked to study the ideas surrounding it. And what came out of their study was an overwhelming consensus that this is something we really should do. Saanich and Victoria should do it. Others think that, 13 is too many and there should be a lot fewer than 12 for that matter. If 13 switching only to 12, if the two of us merged, still leaves a lot, some people think. But the only thing that's been rigorously studied has been the merger between Victoria and Saanich. And that recommendation has been around for a year. Like I say, the two councils involved have deliberated on it, have decided to put the question to the people. But you may have heard this before, Josh, but municipalities are creatures of the province.
Yep.
And so the provincial government, the minister or the cabinet, needs to have the final say that this is happening. So we all know that there's going to be an election in mid-October all across BC for all of our different forms of local government, school board, you have it. But in order for our 2 municipalities, Victoria and Saanich, to have a referendum on amalgamating or not, we need the province to say that that is going to happen. And we have not heard from them. We have heard crickets from them on this.
What have you been able to learn in that time about why or where this is stuck?
Well, I don't want to speculate, right?
Sure.
And I know it's been a difficult legislative session for the government. Mm-hmm. I know that there are a lot of other priorities, and, everyone feels that their issue is the top one, and I guess I'm here to advocate for my group today. So I understand that there are more things on their plate than us, but there's $750,000 got spent by local taxpayers to move in this direction if it made sense, and all the evidence is suggesting it makes sense. So I just really want to know why we're not at least getting some clarity from the province that we're going to have a proper conversation about it. Because no one takes the question seriously until we know for sure that it's coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So realistically, how late can the province wait and we can still get a binding referendum on the October ballot this year?
Yeah, well, I should probably mention that a member of our organization went out of their way to pay for an FOI request, which is always a fun thing to do these days, of the province, to try to find out what's the holdup on the provincial side of things, like what's holding it up. And we've been given a delay 3 times in a row. They keep kicking this can. Now, maybe that's just their FOI staff are understaffed or under-resourced. Maybe there's more political machinations in the background that we're not aware of. We don't know. But what we do think is that we have about 4 months to go until the ballots will be counted. And if there's going to be a binding referendum question on those ballots in Victoria and in Saanich, then we better know that ASAP so that some of the other recommendations from the Citizens' Assembly can be undertaken, such as putting together an objective third-party information campaign.
In 2014, the 13 CRD municipalities combined had a total of 91 elected officials between mayors and councillors. That number has since grown to 93. What does the region stand to lose if this gets pushed back to 2030 or beyond?
You know what, Josh, and to the listeners, I think it's really easy to fall into the trap of thinking that amalgamation is a question about local politicians. It's not. Local politicians and their budgets that serve them as elected leaders is really a drop in the bucket.
Sure.
So there's no money savings to be had by reducing the number of politicians, nor is there a lot of democratic accountability to be lost by having slightly fewer politicians.
Sure.
That's not what it's about. What it's about is all the benefits of a rationalized service delivery model. The sooner we can act on it, the more those benefits accrue over time. So we are obviously advocating that we get on with it. We have a deliberative conversation in the public square heading into a general election season. And then, one way or another, the people will have their say. And if they say in Victoria and simultaneously say in Saanich that we should get married, then we can start, enjoying all the benefits of that matrimony, including, economies of scale.
But is there a chance that the province might just say no here?
The province has that right. I mean, again, we are creatures of the province if you live in the municipal realm. It has never been the case that the province of British Columbia, under any stripe in my living memory, has ever not shown up as a willing partner in these kind of conversations. There are people against amalgamation, most of whom who have been against it since long before it was studied. But nonetheless, people against amalgamation often cite the terrible amalgamations that took place in Ontario. Yeah. But in Ontario, they didn't have, it was political interference. Whereas British Columbia has a long-standing history of dedicating resources to local people to have local conversations. There's transition funding if you change your governance model. And the last time we had an amalgamation in BC, it was between Abbotsford and Matsqui, and it has been a resounding success.
So what can residents in Saanich and Victoria do if they want to see this move forward sooner rather than later?
I think it is time during the barbecue circuit, I guess, of local MLAs to start raising the issue, not for or against, although we'd love to see more people advocating yes, and if so, they should get in touch with us, but just advocating for us to follow through on the $750,000 study that recommended that we have this conversation this summer in a known, clear way, that we're going to have a question on the ballot and that some information be put together in a neutral way to give information to people about what they would be voting yes or no for, so that by the time, the actual ballots are in front of people's eyeballs, they know what they want to vote.
For folks who want more information, where can they find that?
So first, I will plug the Citizens Assembly, because that is the greatest deliberative democratic process that I've ever seen or been an observer to. So that's Victoria-Saanich.ca. And inspired by them, we at AmalgamationYes.ca have created a campaign page for this summer called SaanichVictoria.ca. So if you go Google searching any of those terms, you'll land on one of those three websites. I'm pretty confident.
Trevor Barry is the new chair of the Capital Region Municipal Amalgamation Society. That's too many words. I just like saying amalgamation, yes. And I appreciate your conversation this afternoon, sir. All the best.
Oh, thanks very much. Take care.
Yeah, you too. So there you go. It seems like it's stalled like a car on the highway. But it's now in the province's hand to kind of make its move and to allow us to make our move. So if we wish it or not. But we can't get there until the province says we can have that binding referendum question on those two ballots.
In time.
In time, indeed. Traffic and weather time with Jade.